Like you're saying, practitioners and counselors, they do have problem, but I think this is the beauty because they learn how to overcome the problem, and they're learners and teachers at the same time. They're learning how to deal with the situations, and then they don't keep that for themselves. I think this is actually the beauty of your work, and I really admire and applaud for what you're doing.
But what creates stress and anxiety is expectation. We have an expectation, and that's really the bane of everything. That's what we want to stay away from, is because if we have an expectation of, how our children are going to act, or our partners are going to act, or our business relationships are going to act, if we have an expectation, those expectations will never be fulfilled in the way we want it. And we're not in their brain, so we don't know what they're thinking. So the moment we set up an expectation in any little area of our life and expect someone else to follow through with the way we're thinking, we're putting ourselves in a stressful situation, because it's not going to happen that way. And so, and then the anxiety comes in not being able to set boundaries or ask people for what you need, to be vulnerable enough to say, I need this from you, and, can you help me?
Hello, podcast friends. Today I have the honor and incredible pleasure of welcoming my guest, Patti Conklin. Patti is a vibrational mediator, teacher, lecturer, radio personality, host of the TV show Healing Within, an adventure inside on Binge Networks. Also, she's an author of the book God Within, The Day God's Train Stopped. Patti's primary goal in her work is to help people become insubstantial without transitioning. Example, how do we let go of the judgment while we are still living? Patti, welcome to my show, and thank you so much for making the time to be here today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be able to be with you today.
That's amazing. Because I gave a brief introduction to our audience, can you please tell us a little bit more about you, your work, your accomplishments, and maybe how you started working in this field? And may I ask a little bit of personal insights, because I know it's public, it's in your book, so we don't mind to learn a little bit more about your family as well, your sons.
Yes. Oh, my sons. So I was born in upstate New York, and had my gift from birth. But I was a very shy child. And so I really didn't have friends, and I didn't have people that I could talk to. We didn't have a close family network. But it wasn't until I was in my early 20s or so, when a friend started talking to me. He was a professor of physics. When he started speaking with me and telling me that I wasn't seeing the world the way the rest of the people were seeing the world.
Okay.
And I said, what do you mean? I'm seeing it the way everybody's seeing it. And he said, no, because I see the world in particles. And if you just imagine that you're watching television and the cable goes out and you get snow, that gray fuzz that comes across the television, that's my world 24/7. And so I don't see things like, I could tell you something is blue, but I would never be able to tell you what shade of blue, or green, but never what, actual shade it is. And so we finally had me tested when I was 28 and found that I had an extraordinary high IQ, but that my brain wave was substantially faster than the average person. And so they figured that's what allowed me to see this way, as kind of what they labeled me as a human MRI, someone who could see into the body, not psychically, but literally see inside the body the way a machine would. And through the years, we found that I'm about 6 weeks ahead of traditional medicine in terms of scans and so forth. So if a doctor has a client that they can't figure out, then they'll give me a call and say, where do we begin?
Oh my
So
God.
that makes it fun. Yeah.
So you're special. Like, oh my God, you're an angel on this earth. Honestly, like,
I don't know about that, but I did have what I considered to be a visitation when I was 7, from God, source, universe, whatever label people want to put on it. But I was told 3 things. I was told that 38 to 42 would be my greatest growth years. 42 to 62 would be my greatest contribution to humanity. And the purpose of my walk was to teach people to become insubstantial without transitioning. And even though I was a precocious 7-year-old, I had no idea what that meant. And as time went on, I began to realize, because I was different in my sight and how I saw the human body, that it was helping people to get out of judgment while they were still living, without having to die to do it.
Yeah.
And so, just kind of went that way. And the year of my 38th birthday, I had another visitation and was told to get started with the work. So I did.
I know it's so hard not to judge, and I myself right now very interested in this subject because, especially because I grew up in East Europe, is the mentality, right? So we are sometimes fighting with the mentality, not necessarily the way you are educated by your parents, but is the social pressure, and it's so easy to judge. Honestly, it's so easy, but that comes from what we are perfect and the other person is not perfect, so this is not nice. So I'm working on it, and I'm seeing progress with myself. I'm so proud because I'm not so young anymore, so I have to unlearn what I learned before and make room for new ways of absorbing information and digesting information and accepting other people. And I'm happy you're seeing the same, and I'm seeing more and more people are more preoccupied of not judging. It's not judging so quickly, right? And this is why we have to take a step back, pause a little bit, and then, take the time not to react.
And realizing that every single person has their own path, and if you don't know what their path is, how can you judge it? How can you judge what they're doing?
Absolutely.
And so, I think that it's really, in society today, it's really about how can we give unconditionality and not judge and not make it a right or wrong, just to make it. Growing up introverted, I didn't get a lot of judgment because I just kind of watched people and was fascinated with watching people on the street and how they spoke and how their body said something different. And realize that the body only knew truth, that the words coming out of the mouth weren't necessarily what the body was feeling. And it made it kind of fun, maybe not so much fun for the boys growing up, but when I had my sons, they realized they couldn't lie to me because, if their body said something different, I knew they were lying. And so it became a really open, beautiful relationship because we just told each other the truth and we talked about whatever we needed to talk about. And so it made a really beautiful life for us. And, when I was getting ready to turn 62, because I thought life was going to be over at 62 and that I'd get to go on my next great adventure. So, my sons and I talked it over, and at 63, I was so disappointed when I woke up. And so I said, oh my gosh, darn it, I'm still here. I've gotta do something here. And so, it's 65 now.
This is amazing.
It's not that I don't go through rough times, because I do. But if I cry or if I get angry, those are no-nos for me. It's like I'll stop work instantly and go deep within myself to understand why I'm upset. And so, my sons know, or past boyfriends know, that if I get angry for 1 minute, it's like mom being angry for, 2 months. I mean, it's just unheard of. And so, but still, I sit back, and I think that has kept me being youthful and happy, and just, you deal with what life gives you. And I think people expect practitioners in metaphysics or in quantum physics or whatever to not have anything go wrong in their life. And it's like, no,
Yes.
we're human. We have the same thing going on. It's just, I have followed the path that I believe my Father, God, laid before me. And that's just been very important for me to follow that path and help people throughout the world.
And I like you're saying practitioners and counselors, they do have problem, but I think this is the beauty, because they learn how to overcome the problem, and they're learners and teachers at the same time. They're learning how to deal with the situations, and then they don't keep that for themselves.
Yes.
They're actually helping others to overcome their problems and work with their problems. So I think this is actually the beauty of your work, and I really admire and applaud for what you're doing. And I really like the subject you picked for today, the anxiety and the stress, because we have so much stress and anxiety in our lives. And if you can actually give us a little bit of definition, maybe, because anxiety and stress to me looks very similar. I don't know, they're the same or they're like different.
They're incredibly similar. But what creates stress and anxiety is expectation. We have an expectation, and that's really the bane of everything. That's what we want to stay away from, is because if we have an expectation of, how our children are going to act, or, our partners are going to act, or our business relationships are going to act. If we have an expectation, those expectations will never be fulfilled in the way we want it. And we're not in their brain, so we don't know what they're thinking. So the moment we set up an expectation in any little area of our life and expect someone else to follow through with the way we're thinking, we're putting ourselves in a stressful situation, because it's not going to happen that way. And so, and then the anxiety comes in not being able to set boundaries or ask people for what you need, to be vulnerable enough to say, I need this from you, and, can you help me? I think
the honesty, right? To be honest.
Absolutely.
To be honest, pretty much.
Yeah, to be honest.
And I know it's from your book. The Tom example.
Yep.
Tom, it's so good to see you, but like, oh my God, it's Tom again.
So Tom again. and that creates disease in your body.
Yes.
As soon as what you're speaking and what your body is saying is going against each other, that's when disease begins to form. And so, I just truly believe that anything can be said in love. It doesn't matter what the topic is. It doesn't matter if you're telling somebody you're leaving their life. It can be said gently, and it can be said with love, but it can be said with truth and honesty. And I think that that's a place where people have a challenge with that, in understanding that they can be truthful. But a lot of people, seriously, if they get themselves too busy doing different, volunteer events and so forth, and they're just exhausted, and they'll call and just say, oh, I got a headache tonight, or I've got a stomach ache. The body goes, okay, well, I can create a headache or a stomach ache. You're using illness as a reason to get out of something. And that's okay in today's world. It's not okay. It starts setting your body up for a domino effect of things just falling apart. And so I think that people really need to be careful with their words, and just and be in that unconditional space. And unconditionality is this. It's the difference between judgment and discernment. It's that easy. I have an emotion attached to the event, or I have an expectation of what it's going to look like. I'm in judgment. When I can look at it and say, you know what, I love you as a soul, but I'm not walking this path with you, but I bless you and give you everything you need to continue your path, then you're in discernment. And I think if people worked more on being in discernment, they would have a much happier life.
We love our family, our friends, our pets. and we are so kind to them. We are so, always nice. We are always,
Mhm.
have the time, but we don't have time for ourselves, or we don't treat ourselves the way we treat.
Yeah,
And
we don't.
I think
we
this is
don't do that.
wrong.
Yeah, I think that and especially I work in 62 countries, and so seeing the
Oh my God! You're just like 63 countries.
62
Oh,
countries.
wow.
I've dated Delta for way too many years. It's just been on airplanes nonstop. But culturally, it's interesting to see what diseases are created according to what the culture is. And so you go into different cultures and different countries and see, women who are, and I will say this about Eastern Europe, European women, very family focused, very child focused, and your family's everything. And it's a challenge sometimes to say, hey, and I need you to focus on you. Your children are okay. I need you to focus on you right now to get you in good health. It's a challenge sometimes to get, especially women, to go to that space. And it's important because your brain is telling you, and culturally, I need to do this.
You're right. Again, I'm from East Europe. I was teach that family, yes, our children are our universe, and that's so true.
It's so true.
It's a great thing, but if we are not healthy, or if you're not happy, we can't be good parents. We cannot be good mothers.
I can't tell you how many women I've worked with throughout Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Slovakia, Poland, who, are in a stage 4 cancer situation. And I know that they can get better if I could just get them to focus on them and let their children be their helpers. It's a real challenge. And the children are just like, we're okay, Mom, take care of yourself. So, I think the expectations, just come back around of, no matter how sick I am, I can take care of my family. And your body's just saying, please help me first. And then you're going to be around a lot longer to be with your children. So, but it's different throughout the world. It's just been amazing. But it's one of the things I love about the Eastern European community is the love, the universe. Yeah.
Okay, so how can we work? I mean, you mentioned a few things, but there are any steps we can take, or how can we overcome the anxiety, or changing the expectations thing? I mean, do you have any, I don't know, a guide, like 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, or what should we do? Like, just a few words. I know you are working in sessions, and you work in group sessions, individual sessions, and then if you can actually explain a little bit more about your sessions as well. But like in a few words, if you can give us how we can start, because maybe somebody will change from today on, hopefully.
Absolutely. I think what's just incredibly important is that people, individuals, thank their body nonstop throughout the course of the day. You may have a headache, you may have a stomach ache, whatever, but you say, thank you, body, for being healthy, because your body is going to listen to what you're saying. And so that's important. Starting your morning in silence, in quietness. When the grandbabies are with me, even when it's on a weekend, they know I want my cup of coffee and quiet. And so they amuse themselves until I'm ready to dialogue, which is typically about 20 minutes. But they know it. I mean, it's just, we started out that way. People need to take time for themselves and give gratitude for what they have, and not be concerned about what they don't have. Again, you're worried about what you don't have. That's what's coming into your body, and that's what that creates the stress. I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. But if you start your morning in gratitude, that's beautiful. There's 2 active frequencies in the universe, and it's color and it's tone. And so you want, play some music, symphony or orchestra music for 15 minutes, but ask your body, what tone do I need? Grateful, and feel 100% beautiful and healthy today.
Mhm.
And sit with that music for 15 minutes and just imagine it coming through your body, or look outside and see the green or just something beautiful and stare at it and bring that into your body. It helps tremendously.
I think from August on, I'm not watching TV at all in the morning, and that's a big accomplishment. I mean, I'm not a big fan of TV, but I was starting my coffee with the news and, a TV show in the morning, like a news TV show, and I decided no, not anymore. So instead, I have like you said, a gratitude list, and I have pretty much everything, because people are thinking we have to be thankful for something big, but no, we have to be thankful for everything, like small things, like even if we see the light in the morning, thank you so much, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing.
Absolutely true.
Yes.
Absolutely true. I have little angel cards that I started with my sons when they were little, when they started school. And it just has one word on it. And so every morning they would draw a card, and maybe it was joy or gratitude or honesty or truth or motivation, whatever. And that's what they needed to focus on during the day, that day. My sons are 41 and 40 now, and they still walk into whatever home I'm in, and they go to that bowl and they draw a card. And
we are humans, and as humans we have good and not so good days, and so how can we deal with not so good days? Because when you're like in good mood, it's easy. And like you said, I have my music. I know I like the Baroque music. When I read, I like the Baroque classic, of course, always. I'm actually going next week in Belgrade for Andrew Rio concert. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. My daughter actually gifted me with these tickets, Sandra. But also I have a very, very happy and dynamic 3 songs I'm starting my day with, and I'm actually dancing and singing along.
And the important piece of that is, once you start the music, give your body instructions. Because your body's listening to the music, but your body is very literal, and it needs you to tell it what you want it to do with this music. So it could increase your immune system, make you more exuberant, although you could get more exuberant. You've just got such a lovely light. But for the people that, when we do have those days that are tough, I think what's so important is to allow ourselves to have a tough day. There are days where I may be overly exhausted because, I've been out of the country for 9 weeks, and I'm come back in, and the grandbabies, want to be around me and everything. And there are some days that I just sit on this houseboat and just stare into the water. I just stare into the water, and I let my body calm down. I allow it to go through the tears if that's what I need to go through. If I've had a client who passed away, it happens. And so I just allow myself to be. And I think people feel like they need to put up a pretense. And it's okay to not do that. It's okay to, now I'm not saying don't go to everyone in your corner, in your circle, and say, oh, I'm having a horrible day, and just, start complaining. Allow yourself to work through whatever it is that's bothering you, and take an hour, take the day if you need to. But the sooner you work through it, the sooner you're out of it.
Yeah, so not just taking a day or 2 days just like that, but maybe focusing on what's wrong, and maybe have a self-talk, maybe identify what the problem is, or call you, because sometimes we need help, and it's it's okay to recognize we need help. And I wish more people would recognize they need help and ask for help. Because we think we can deal by ourselves, but honestly sometimes we can't. We need help, and we need help from people like you.
Typically what you think is wrong is not what's wrong. People will call and say, I know exactly what created this cancer. I know what created this muscular dystrophy, or whatever it is. And 9 times out of 10, they're absolutely wrong. It's not what they think at all. The subconscious is running the body, not the conscious. And so we're thinking consciously about what we think we know. I think that, vacations are incredibly important. I take a 3-week cruise every year, and go to the gym, I go to the spa, I grab a spinach salad, and I go to my balcony. And that's it. I've never been anywhere else on a cruise ship. I've never been to a show or any people. That's my reset time year.
But we need to take like a real vacation, not vacation with the laptop and all the work attached to us in our
at home. Leave it at home.
Yeah.
The only insert I would put in there is I used to do a show the 1st of January with a dear friend of mine who had a show out in Nebraska. And so while I was on the cruise ship, I would go ahead and be on his show for an hour each year. But other than that, just no email, just be with yourself. I think that being with yourself, understanding you allows you to go deeper into you and to not feel ill, to not feel angry, to not judge someone. The more that you can realize who you are, the more beautiful it becomes.
Yeah, I think the way we try to learn about somebody or know somebody, it's the same with us. We have to know more about us. If we don't have time to stop and, like you said, reflect or reset or have a self-talk, we don't know ourselves and we don't know our needs or how to deal or react in different situations because we don't know ourselves. We only see when it's maybe too late. We react or I don't know.
And how can we expect other people, those that are close to us, to help us or to understand what we're going through if we don't understand ourselves?
Absolutely.
You know, we can't reach out to them and say, I need help in this area. And I'll, one moment for me that I'll share, my sons and their wives ended up getting pregnant at the same time, and both had boys. And they the grandbabies are 52 days apart and are just turning 10 now, which is just kind of unreal. But all of a sudden they were married, and within a very short period of time they were pregnant. And my sons and I have an incredibly close relationship. Daniel's been more of the seer and kind of helping, on the sidelines with business. Matthew has been the one who would travel the world with me and help at workshops and so forth. So Matt was more hands-on. And they called me to one of their houses, and their wives were there, and Dan just looked at me and he said, Mom, you seem to be crying a lot lately, and you never cry. And so something's going on. Can you talk to us about it? So I'm sitting with both sons and their wives, and I'm like, why am I crying? And then I looked at them and I'm like, I don't know where I am in the pecking order anymore. It's always been us. We've always had lunch once a week, and we've always done this, and now there's wives and there's babies, and I love them, but I don't know where I am. I used to be first. And he just smiled at me and he said, you're right. The pecking order has changed, but that doesn't mean that we love you any less.
Of course.
And Matt opened up and he's like, so how can we make you and help you know how much we love you? And so we decided on, movies, dinner and movies once a month. And the boys. And then the girls, the daughter-in-laws were just like, no, that's not okay. And I'm just kind of looking at them going, what? And they're like, no, we get drinks once a month. We get margaritas once a month. We get to take you out. And it was just, it was a beautiful moment. But they were right. I had been grieving something and I wasn't sure what I was grieving until they made me sit down with them and say, we will always love you. We will always support you. But yes, we have our wives and we have our children, and you're not top spot, but that doesn't make love less. And I think for women who go through empty nesting, that's a
and hard. It's just hard. Yeah.
Hard, and most of us don't acknowledge it. So one son calls me on the way to work in the morning, and the other son calls me on his way home. And so they touch in every day and make sure I'm okay, and just talk to me about their day and so forth. So life has changed, but
changed in a good way though, right? You just adapt to the
Yep.
new life. It's
The new life.
that nothing changed in the
No.
relationship.
And I
So
have awesome daughter-in-laws and daughter-in-laws who love each other.
mm,
The boys, who are 52 days apart, are just, inseparable.
mm,
And they're both brilliant in one area, one in vocabulary and one in math.
no,
And so it's just a joy to sit and watch them. But I think that, sometimes we get into that judgment mode again, right? Of you're not treating me the way you used to treat me. And we have to understand as parents, male and female, life's going to change.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so true and so real. I want to touch a little bit. I know we didn't discuss, but I wanted to talk about your. This is an important work you are doing, the cellular cleansing. If you can explain us a little bit, what's the cellular cleansing?
Yeah. So cellular cleansing, when I was 28, I developed both forms of lupus, and the doctors only gave me, less than 5 years to live. And so I started doing color works, which is, moving color through your body. It could be done with tone or color. And within a year, I had cured it, which is impossible in terms of medical society. It's always fatal, and especially having both forms. And for 3 years, I was pretty critical until I had a visitation and was shown how to do the color works. So then I started thinking, it took me a year to work through emotions, and there's still emotions in there. There's got to be a way to be able to remove the emotions that are stuck in your cells. Because every word you've spoken has gone in there, and it's just stuck. It doesn't come out, it gets stuck. And so I developed cellular cleansing. And cellular cleansing is a way for people to go back even into the womb. Even at conception, and clean out their parents' stuff and clean out your stuff, and you're just laying there with your helpers and guides, animals or angels or whatever, and you're going into a room and you're cleaning it. The room disappears, and it just becomes whatever you want it to be, whatever fabulous thing is happening. When you go into that room to clean, you're cleaning the cells of that year, of that time period. When you're creating something fabulous, maybe you want to be on a swing hanging off the moon looking at the earth. Maybe you want to be sitting in the ocean without a boat, just sitting.
Okay.
A fabulous feeling, and that's what's going back into the cells. So it's so important for people because you're getting 50 to 70% of all your blocked energies out of your body at one time. And that's just critical for good health, especially if you're in the midst of a disease. You want to be able to go in that. I've had people in their 80s and 90s who knew that, maybe they'd pass within a few years, who have done cellular cleansings because they believe in reincarnation, and they want to clean out everything they can clean out before they reincarnate, before they pass and reincarnate. But, I've had people who have had those miracles, who have done it and been free of a disease, a cancer, a stage 4, a stage 3, or maybe go from a stage 4 back to a stage 1 and be able to have a quality of life. Emotionally, everybody changes. Emotionally, everybody gets in there and changes how they're viewing their life. And that's critical as well. So it was something that I created 28 years ago. I've been doing this work now for 28 years, and just moving into that space of, how do we clean out our body? Because behavioral is wonderful, hypnosis, psychotherapy, whatever that helps us change our behavior, that's great. But that does not remove what you store in your body and your cells.
It's like we are redecorating our house. We have to clean the house first and then bring the new furniture, maybe. I mean, we can still bring the new furniture and still have the old ones, but you don't actually see the beauty of the new furniture or the new outlook.
And I think that, it's recognizing that we say things, and there was a time period here in the US, I can't remember what method it was, but it was like cancel, I didn't mean that. Well, your body already stored it. Your body didn't understand cancel, cancel. Those words already went in. And so it's choose your words wisely. And again, good always comes out of bad, and you can always say what you need to say. Just like my sons, telling me I wasn't top spot anymore. I was slid to the side when their wives came in, but that didn't stop them from loving me. And I think that, it's just important on how we view life. Look at not the glass even half full. Look at the glass full. It doesn't have to be half empty.
I know.
Full.
Yeah.
It can just be full.
I know. We have to learn. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Oh my God, we have so many topics, and I secretly hoping we can actually do it again. To be honest,
I would love to.
What is the big takeaway you want our listener to get from today episode?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Be kind to yourself. Don't set up expectations with others. Don't set up expectations with yourself. Take time for you to breathe, to be in a space of gratitude with yourself, and look at life through new eyes. Don't look at the negatives, look at the positives. It's not that the negatives aren't happening. I want you to validate what's going on in your life. But anything that's going on in your life, you can validate in a positive way and not a negative. So it's important.
Yes. Oh my God. Patti, thank you so much again for your time and for insights and for your knowledge, experience, and sharing with us, honestly, because you have so many personal stories, and I really appreciate you share with the world. And I'm sure our audience will appreciate, and maybe somebody will start today changing a little bit the perspective and the way they are seeing the world. And again, I hope we can see each other and maybe go in a little bit more deeper.
Our family is our greatest challenge.
I know.
It's our greatest challenge. And so it's an important one, and one we don't talk about enough. And I'd love to come back on. And you're just a wonderful host. And I thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again.